In America, we all count. In America, we witness to serve all those who, in fact, participate. And losers are taught to concede when they lose. And he's a loser.
Well, in today's Spotlight, President Biden, you heard there, delivering remarks from inside a historic Mother Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, this is the site of a massacre that took the lives of 9 black parishioners in 2015. Biden continuing to make the connection between the danger of extremism and Donald Trump, saying that the GOP frontrunner is running on a hate-fueled agenda, that's his quote, and is a threat to our democracy. Now, this follows ABC News exclusive reporting on what Trump insiders allegedly told special counsel Jack Smith about Trump's refusal to help stop the violent attack on the U.S. Capitol 3 years ago on January 6th. I want to bring back my panel here, Jay O'Brien, John Katko, Julie Rodzinski, and joining us is ABC News' Alex Perche, of course, in Iowa for us. And John, let's start here with you. So, John, aides allegedly told Jack Smith that Trump wasn't interested in doing more to stop this January 6th riot, and many of these exclusive details are coming from the questioning of Trump's former deputy chief of staff, Dan Scavino. And some of these details are pretty significant, revelations in there. But do we think that these developments will now impact Trump's 2024 campaign at all? I mean, it seems like allegations against him certainly don't.
I think in the primary, it may not affect him too much, but I think in the general election, it's definitely going to be an issue, especially for independents. I was in senior leadership in the Republican Party when that happened, and what they're saying absolutely did happen. He was asked several times on January 6th to get the crowds to stop, and he refused to do so. And he was very angry that day because that morning he found out that Pence was going to certify the election as his constitutional duty. And he really didn't care, it seemed, from the phone calls I was made aware of, that he didn't care if Pence was okay or not. So what they're saying is very important. In the general election, I think it's going to be an issue about character. And in the close election, it could make a difference. But in the primary, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, unfortunately.
And almost no one knows that better than Alex Perche, who's been in Iowa speaking with voters. And, of course, the former president has a massive lead there heading into the Iowa caucuses. And so, Alex, also today, GOP presidential candidate and former Governor Nikki Haley attacking the president's record on race, talking about President Biden. And she called his remarks that he gave today in South Carolina politicized racial speech. And this, of course, to remind everybody, Alex, comes after her misstep, or so-called misstep, where she failed to mention slavery when asked a question about the Civil War. So what do you make of her immediately pouncing and attacking Biden today?
Well, this is part of a pushback, right? Because, I mean, Nikki Haley has had kind of a rough week of little gaffes here. The biggest one of which were whenever she failed to mention slavery as a cause for the Civil War. And you heard, I mean, she's gotten beat up by some of her Republican challengers, but also Biden in his speech today poked at, this idea that this revisionist history is dangerous. And he also brought up slavery being a primary cause for the Civil War. And so, this is a pushback on her part on that. She's referencing comments that he made back in 1974 that she says, if a Republican had made those, that essentially, they would be really criticized, heavily criticized. And so, this is part of that. What's interesting, Kana, is that, she's making these challenges against Biden and criticizing him. Where literally just a day and a half ago, where she was asked by Iowans here whether or not she would hit Trump harder, she basically said that, she's not going to do it.
Interesting. Yeah, a lot of people there in Iowa seem to want to see Haley or DeSantis hit Trump back a little bit harder. And Jay, let's go to you. We know that Trump is facing a slew of challenges, as we've talked about at length, and that includes a number of trials and charges. But House Republicans stand firm behind him. So, Jay, how crucial is that support? And will that help his chances? Let's look at the general election.
I mean, he's been endorsed by every single member of House Republican leadership there on Capitol Hill. That's in the House. In the Senate, Mitch McConnell, the top Republican there, is no fan of Donald Trump, and he's made that known. But he's also said in the past that he would support whoever the Republican nominee is, and Trump looks like he's on track to be the Republican nominee. I can tell you privately, as John probably knows better than anybody on this panel, Republicans on Capitol Hill, Republicans in Washington don't like to be harangued by reporters like me at every little Trump posting or Trump comment and asked, what do they think about this? What do they think about that? But they're also looking at where the momentum is right now in the primary, and Trump has got the momentum in the primary. To John's point, the question becomes, does that momentum in the primary in some ways translate into the general, or even hurt him in the general, depending upon what he says in the primary? And that we don't know the answer to, because you're looking at the possibility of a Trump-Biden rematch, which means in certain swing states, a very, very narrow rematch.
A narrow rematch. And let's, Julie, let's go to you here for more on this. So, of course, Biden gave these statements today in South Carolina. And what is the significance of Biden deciding to start campaigning there? What do you make of his messaging as he talked about Trump, but he did so in South Carolina, of course, as Nikki Haley seems to be also gaining at least a little momentum in this fight for second place?
Yeah, I think this is less about Nikki Haley than it is about the fact that Biden understands, the president understands that African-American voters and especially Black women are critical to the success of any Democrat, and certainly critical to the success of this Democrat. He went to Mother Emmanuel Church for a reason. It is something that obviously resonates incredibly strongly with what happened with gun violence so many years ago in the race animus, but also more importantly, because it is such a significant place for African-American voters, and that's something that's very important to the Democratic coalition.
Certainly is. All right, Jay, John, Julie, and Alex, please stay with us. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.